in something, and it's good to see you here. During tonight, I'm 27 days out from a complete knee replacement. So if I stand up when you're talking or presenting, it's not a sign of disrespect. I can't sit here that long. So I just want to apologize for that. But other than that, I'm doing great. PT today was, yeah. I should have took some Tylenol before I got here. But other than that, looks good. We have, I think, 1 minute left. Dr. Jones in Ozark. Good old West Plains guy, kid. Good. He did really well. I've always joked that I'm not fat, I'm big boned. He walked out and said, "Your husband is a big man on the outside and inside. Those are the hugest bones I've ever seen." All right. Would you all rise, please? Dear God, as we gather this evening, we ask that you influence our hearts and minds so that we can govern this city fairly and wisely. And we thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon our community. We ask your continued protection upon our city staff and crews. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we are already in open session, so we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, on to ordinances. Bill 4793 to become ordinance 4793, second reading. An ordinance of the city of West Plains, Missouri, amending chapter 50, article 2, division 2, section 50-83 of the city of West Plains Code of City Ordinances, dealing with protest petitions in zoning matters and the requisite majority for approval of certain zoning matters.
Motion to approve Bill 4793 to become ordinance 4793, second reading.
Second.
Mayor, council, good evening. This is obviously a second reading for us to be in line with state statute was recommended in our March planning and zoning for approval. And we've not had any comments or have to answer any questions.
No public comment.
No, sir.
Right. Is there any public comment on Bill 4793? Okay, Kelly?
Collins,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neese,
Yes.
Neeson,
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
Bill 4794 to become ordinance 4794, second reading. An ordinance approving the adoption of amended budgets for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2025 and ending December 31, 2025.
Motion to approve Bill 4794 to become ordinance 4794, second reading.
I second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is second reading on our budget amendment. This is generally the first budget amendment of the year where anything that we did not spend last year that we know we still need to spend as far as projects that need to be completed, grants that were applied for where we didn't finish up the grant, similar types of things. We've got an insurance claim, of course, for Lincoln Sub on here this year again. So any of that money that we did not spend in 2024 that was still left in the budget, we make the official approval to move that forward into the 2025 budget so that we have enough to spend and finish those projects. As far as I understand, we've not had any public comment yet on this.
Okay. Is there any public comment now on Bill 4794? All right, Kelly?
Collins,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neese,
Yes.
Neeson,
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
Bill 4795 to become ordinance 4795, second reading. An ordinance of the city of West Plains, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to execute an amendment to the state block grant agreement, increasing the original grant amount by $22,950 for the purpose of the airport fuel system install and further extending the project timeline to August 30th, 2025.
Motion to approve Bill 4795 to become ordinance 4795, second reading.
Second.
All right, this is second reading for basically a grant agreement. The grant itself has already been approved. We have to officially approve an amendment to the grant to allow for more money that has been approved at the state level for this fuel farm, the fuel facility up at the airport. Basically where we're at, we had some bids that came in. They're a little too high. So the company who's helping us with the design has asked for an extension to allow us to get more bids, get a better price, hopefully within the total grant amount. This increases the city's share of the grant or of the entire project by $2,550. Any questions?
Is there any public input on Bill 4795?
Yeah. Are funding a bill for an airport that's in Pomona?
You could come to the,
Yeah, come on
come
up.
up, please.
Please come on up.
Why are we funding a bill for the city of Pomona,
The city owns and operates the airport.
the Pomona Airport?
It's located in Pomona, but it's owned and operated by the city of West Plains. So the property as well.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
You bet.
All right, Kelly?
Collins,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neese,
Yes.
Neeson,
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
Bill 4796 to become ordinance 4796, second reading. An ordinance rezoning certain property, thereby changing the official zoning map of the city of West Plains, Missouri, and defining the boundaries of the area to be changed on said official zoning map, properties located at 923 and 925 Missouri Avenue.
Motion to approve Bill 4796 to become ordinance 4796, second reading.
My second.
Good evening again. This request come from Adams Construction on Missouri Avenue. It was recommended for approval in the March planning and zoning meeting to become more in line with the current zoning use as it is now. There's no public comment on this.
Is there any public comment on Bill 4796? Okay, Kelly?
Collins,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neese,
Yes.
Neeson,
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
Bill 4797 to become ordinance 4797, second reading. An ordinance vacating a 25-foot alley located in the Hickory Hills subdivision and further reserving a utility easement within the area to be vacated.
Motion to approve Bill 4797 to become ordinance 4797, second reading.
Second.
In an effort to kind of clean up any unused right of ways and alleys, anytime we come across this with no utilities in there, we choose to vacate that property to clean that up. And this is one of those alleys that was not being utilized, so planners recommended to vacate this alley.
Is there any public input on Bill 4797? Okay. Kelly?
Collins,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neese,
Yes.
Neeson,
Yes.
Topliff.
All right. Yes.
No council action, so Mayor.
You know, it's fitting that your last action is to vote yourself out. And
Mhm.
we have a small token that's going to present to you for the city for your 4 years of service. I appreciate the time we've had together. We've had some good conversations, and really appreciate the last 4 years with you. Thank you, man.
One quick one for me, guys. Oh. Not even gonna get it easy. I like that. 1, 2, 3. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, okay. And Perhaps someday I'll get to that too. Get to. At this time, we will stand adjourned. CABA. All right. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Back there somewhere. There he is. Just like that.
Yep, just like that.
Okay, I will.
Oh, switching out. Yes, switching in. My neighbor.
All right, I will call us to order and request Ron Grinnan to please join us at the podium.
Welcome, welcome.
Kelly, would you please do a roll call?
Collins,
Here.
Grennan,
Here.
Merle,
Here.
Neese,
Here.
Topliff.
Here. All right, we have a quorum. This time now, I would entertain a nomination for our mayor pro tem position.
I'll make a motion to nominate Jessica Neese as pro tem.
Second.
Second. Any other nominations? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thanks.
Feeling good still. Don't worry.
All right, on to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this consent agenda? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
On to resolutions. Resolution 2025-04, a resolution of the city of West Plains, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement between the city of West Plains and the Little Hut for alcoholic beverage services at the West Plains Civic Center.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-04.
Second.
Todd?
Good evening, council. Welcome, Ron. So this agreement would allow the Little Hut to sell alcohol at the Civic Center for the next 5 events as agreed upon by the Civic Center and the promoter. The events would be typically concerts, musical concerts in the arena, somewhere where it'd be logical to have alcohol. In exchange, the Little Hut would give 20% of their proceeds to the Civic Center. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Did we solicit for those services?
We did, yes. We reached out to some local establishments that offer those services. We received 3 proposals. This was the proposal selected by the management, Civic Center management, and the staff.
Is there any public input for resolution 2025-04? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Todd.
Resolution 2025-05, a resolution of the City of West Plains, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement between the City of West Plains and E-Tix for event ticketing services at the West Plains Civic Center.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-05.
Second.
Hey, Todd.
Yeah, so the second agreement would establish E-Tix as our ticketing agency for the Civic Center. Currently, we're serviced by Ticketmaster. We are still under contract by Ticketmaster. They did indicate to us last year they were not going to renew the contract simply because they are really servicing much bigger venues than what we can offer, bigger events. So we're really lucky. E-Tix, they're a great company, an industry leader. They have about 4,000 customers locally. They do the Missouri State Fair, some venues in Branson. So we were really lucky to get that proposal. If I may, just a few highlights of the proposal. So it's a 3-year agreement with a renewal term for additional 2 years. The Civic Center will pay E-Tix 10 cents per ticket sold in the box office. For online sales, the service fees are 10% of the face value. The minimum will be $1 with a maximum of $5 to the customer, which we're really happy about. And they will provide us points of sale, ticket scanners, and ticket stock paper at no additional cost to us. So we're pretty excited about this proposal. We think it's going to be a good partnership.
Yeah, those fees seem a lot lower than the service master or Ticketmaster was.
They are, and that was one of our requirements when we were interviewing companies and we were going through proposals, is we wanted to give the customers a little break on the fees. Ticketmaster for $100 fee, I mean, it could be pretty high for $100 ticket. So again, E-Tix, it maxes out at $5, which is great if you have a big ticket.
Yeah, good.
Will they subcontract for a local vendor, so to speak, to be located here in West Plains?
What do you mean?
Like, will they have a person that's an employee of theirs here?
No, so it would be us. So they would be training us, very similar to what we use with Ticketmaster.
Okay.
So it will be using our staff.
Good. Perfect.
Is there any public input on resolution 2025-05? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Todd.
On to ordinances. Bill 4798, first reading. An ordinance of the City of West Plains, Missouri, enacting a mutual aid / emergency response policy for the City of West Plains.
Motion to consider bill 4798, first reading.
Second.
Thanks, Shane.
Good evening. So we reached out to MPUA, which we got a lot of input from other municipalities on what their responses were for mutual aid. And this is to help recover cost when we send crews to help like we did Rolla. Not only for labor hours, but equipment hours, fuel, and kind of brings us to what other municipalities are doing right now.
Okay. Any questions? Is there any public input for Bill 4798? Okay. Kelly?
Collins,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Neese,
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
Bill 4799, first reading. An ordinance rezoning certain property, thereby changing the official zoning map of the City of West Plains, Missouri, and defining the boundaries of the area to be changed on said official zoning map. Property is located at 702 Jefferson Avenue.
Motion to consider bill 4799, first reading.
I'll second.
Mayor, council, welcome, Ron. This request come from Troy Witt. This is an effort to clean up some property that was located in the downtown district that was zoned R2. which the zoning classification would be changed to a C2, which would be consistent with what the use has been through historically. So it's consistent with comprehensive land use plan, and planners did recommend it for approval during the last meeting. So happy to answer any questions on this property.
How's the property being used now?
Currently, it's been used as warehouse and retail of the nature, and it would be more of a retail nature. We've got an application for a business license. So once that came through, we recognized the property wasn't zoned appropriately, and it is surrounded by C2 property as well.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
Is there any public input for Bill 4799? Right. Kelly?
Collins,
Yes.
Grennan,
Yes.
Merle,
Yes.
Nice,
Yes.
Topliff.
Yes.
All right, no council action. So Sam, you have anything?
Good evening, Mayor. Welcome. Glad to have you. Don't really have much for you this evening, just a couple of reminders. We're working to get our baseball and softball season going as quickly as we can, but with the flood damage from a couple of weeks ago, we still have to repair some fences. We still need to get through the grass and make sure that all of the dangerous stuff has been picked up. So there could be potentially a delay to the start of baseball and softball, but we will working on that as quickly as we can. So that's really all I had for you this evening.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Do-
During this, sorry about having to rearrange things. We needed to reorganize the council before we really got into this issue. I once again appreciate you guys coming out, and it's important for us to get the feedback so that we can make more informed judgments up here and decisions. So I think at the end, Sam, we will be able to answer some general questions, but specific, we don't have the meter or anything, but I know this is something that I've had conversations with with Sam for several months now. I kind of consider it's a big black eye on me and the council, because we make these decisions. We chose the rates, we choose the software, and my name's on everything that you're going to complain about. So that I apologize, and I'm here to listen. But I would like you to know it's not, those young ladies in the front office there, it's not their fault, and they take a lot, and they really commend them for how they handle everything. And I realize how emotional this stuff can get. So let's
On to citizen comments. When you come to the podium, please state your name and home address or place of business in an audible tone of voice for the record. Each citizen will be allowed 5 minutes to address council. First up, we have Linda France.
Mayor, council, good evening. Is it okay if I come up and
hand us. Yeah.
is that okay?
Also appreciate you have a West Plains shirt on.
The first one says it. This is not
Thank you.
5 minutes.
No,
No.
we'll start it when you get up. Thank you.
Okay. Did I state my name already?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm Linda France and I live on Court Square in West Plains. As you know, I'm here to discuss the recent increase in our utility bills. So this journey kind of started for me when a family member's bill doubled from December to January. And that was alarming because it was big, like 300 to 600. Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. Is that better?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so we had that jump, and then a friend a few days later was telling me the same thing. Her bill had doubled. So I started doing some digging and some asking around, and the more people I talked to, the more I found out how widespread, not just little increments in our utility bills had jumped, but like huge jumps. So I don't know if you guys have seen jumps in your own utility bills, or if you're aware of just how many of us this has affected. I know city utilities ladies are aware. And I kind of feel bad for them for that, because I know they field a lot of complaints. And I do feel bad about that. They're just the people that happen to be there when, somebody's mad about their bill. But I understand the customer complaints and concerns as well. I do know that the installation of 6,500 new smart meters began here in 2019. And by 2020, 4,000 of those had been installed. From what I understand, the remaining 2,500 were installed by 2023. So I have 3 questions here. Does every city utilities customer currently have a smart meter? That's one. How are the meters read? Are the numbers remotely or automatically provided to city utilities? Or do we still have meter readers that read those monthly? And 3, are these meters still under a warranty? If not, is the city of West Plains financially responsible for updates and repairs when and if they become faulty or produce false readings? If you'll look at the paper that I handed out, I think just you guys got this one, you'll see some overall data regarding average temperatures and average utility bills usage, along with numbers taken from sample bills of 2 residential customers and 1 commercial customer. And I don't have time to go into all of that right now, but if you'll take a peek at the 1 commercial customer on the bottom of that sheet. So this isn't a retail business. It's a business that it's not open to the public on a daily basis. Okay, so their normal average summertime bill
2 minutes.
is $400. Average winter is $600. Their January bill this year was $2,500. $2,500. The owner of this same building also owns an empty rental house. In December, they were working on that house. They were remodeling, and that electric bill was $150. January, nobody still lived in that house. Nobody was there remodeling, and that bill was $360. The kilowatt hours per month, the gallons of water used, the dollar amounts of these bills have doubled, tripled, and even more. Significantly more than a few degree drop in temperature or a 15% rate increase would warrant. We have hundreds of residents with the exact same issues, and it's causing alarm, frustration, and worry, really, for all of us.
1 minute.
Better budgeting isn't the issue. We can't budget for an average $200 or $300 utility bill, then suddenly get slapped with a $600 or $900 utility bill. That poses a struggle for all of us, and many just simply can't pay it. It seems evident that something is systematically wrong with the meters or the billing system. Our complaints are valid and our concerns need to be taken seriously, please. I'm asking that the council take action to remedy this situation sooner rather than later. Many of us won't financially survive another month of this. And I'd also like to formally request a face-to-face meeting with the utilities director and the city administrator, if I could.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next is Cindy Hayes. Cindy, please state your name and home address or place of business.
Cindy Hayes, West Plains, Missouri, 2608 Cody Drive.
You may
Okay.
begin.
Okay, thank you guys for having us, and congratulations, Ron.
Thank you.
I'm actually grew up here, raised here. Actually, Johnny and I went to school, but he's older. Um,
I object, Your Honor.
I receive my utility bills about 3 weeks before they're due, which I really appreciate because I'm a retired teacher and on a fixed income. And when my bill more than doubled from December to January, I started looking at all the information on my bill and I thought, well, something's going on. It went from like 210 to 530. And I decided to go ahead and post something about that on West Plains Information. And within 3 days, I had more than 128 comments, not likes, comments of people in the same boat as I. One of my main concerns is about the families that are choosing to have heat or feed their kids. They live paycheck to paycheck. And I called and asked, and I talked to Earlene about this situation. The cutoffs only happen if it's 32 degrees or lower or 90 degrees or higher. And once the temperature goes back to normal, they're expected to pay. And there are penalties to cut off and penalties to get it put back on that I understand. So one of my things is not just for myself, but for everybody in the community, especially for those families that live paycheck to paycheck. We need to have a sheet that has resources on it that they can just look at the sheet and go find help when they're in these situations, these emergencies. And according to Earlene, they tell them to go to Ozark, what is it, Action,
yeah.
and the churches. And there are many other sources. And so I really think that our city owes these folks that are in this situation a sheet that they can walk out of the city hall with hope that they can take care of their families. I put in my request to speak, and Earlene called me the next day and offered me a 44-page printout of my account, which had some helpful information, lots of charts and graphs. And from that, I asked a few questions and got some answers. And I felt like there was a lot of information that I didn't understand. And several folks on my Facebook page were concerned not just with their utility usage or their electricity, they were concerned about their sewage and their water. One particular guy said his water and sewage usage was exactly 1562 usage, and his bill was 577 and 520 for the sewer. He called and asked what was going on. He was told there were probably a leak. He had a plumber come and help examine it. There was no leaks. There was no leaks the month before. And I understand other people have called and had this issue and told they had leaks, and that the same thing happened. The plumber came, there were no leaks. And most of these folks are folks that pay auto pay, and they don't really find out there's an issue with their bill until after they take the money out of their bank account. So it's kind of difficult. There were several people on my thread that had the same problems, but here's one of my concerns is the trickle-down effect. With me being on a strict budget and having to pay this extra stuff, I'm not going to shop in West Plains. I'm not going to eat out. I'm not going to support the small businesses because I can afford. So the small businesses and the businesses in the city are going to suffer because we are being hit by these unexpected higher bills. I just think there's some mistakes being made, possibly not even human mistakes. And I think everyone here is concerned about this and wants to see answers and maybe some changes and some better planning as far as the bills and how they're figured. And we just want some hope that things are going to get better for us and for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
As a high school teacher, I'm giving you guys some homework.
Well.
This is my personal information that Erlene, part of what Erlene sent me, and I literally cut and pasted it with scissors and tape. So.
Old
Thank
school.
you.
Up next is Taylor Hernandez. Taylor. Okay. Up next is Leanne Dorn. Please state your name and home address or place of business, and you may begin.
Leanne Dorn, 218 South Hazel Street. I have a hairstyling business, so I don't have any handouts for you, but I can do a haircut. But I have sent you already pictures of my the flooding that was at my house and my bills. So I've already sent the handouts to you. And but I'm concerned about my electricity also, and my clients too. We've talked about this for a good month, 2 months now, and they're concerned too. So I'm speaking for them also, for a lot of people. And my bills, as which you've already gotten, and you can see the differences between the two, but I didn't write in there that I had used my fireplace this year, where last year I didn't use my fireplace. So I had the backup of burning firewood all this winter, and it was still, you know, a couple $100 higher than it was the previous year. And you know, I was told, well, it was a very cold winter, and that's just not enough enough information to help me. So so I'm asking for more answers, and I like the idea of having, like Linda said, a meeting or something that will come up to explain things and in a way that we can understand. Now, as far as the flooding thing that happened at my house, I sent pictures, and the drain that comes off the what is that street? So this is the second 5-minute, right?
Yes.
Okay, second subject.
Already.
All right, anyway, I live on Hazel, and the street above me is has a water retrieval that comes right through the back of my neighbor's house, and that it hits a berm that the people that used to own my house 2 feet high. And then it goes to the drain in the street. And it was coming over the top of that at the very end. And if it was another 6 inches higher, it would have come into the bottom of my house. And so this has been a problem a long time, because these people put that berm up there probably a good 30 years ago. And right now there is a big stump, not a big stump, but it's a branch that's about this big around and that long, that's blocking my drain that's on the street. And I got out there during the storm, and I moved with a stick. I got down in there to try to move the leaves. And before that, I took about a whole trash can load of full weeds, wet weeds, and pushed them down out of the place I could reach. But then I started trying to knock it down inside that drain, and broke the stick. And you know, the rains kept coming down, and it overflowed again. So I'm thinking there is a whole bunch of stuff in that drain underneath the street, and I need your help with that. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, up next is Dennis Franks. Dennis is not here, Mayor.
Okay. Sam, do you have anything you want to discuss?
So I could try to answer a couple of questions. First, I'll be more than happy to meet with whoever wants to meet to talk about some issues. Generally speaking, though, and I appreciate Councilmember Grennan. He had a question earlier today that I think could potentially shed some light on what we saw. I need to pull that information up real quick, so just bear with me. Councilmember Grennan had asked how our kilowatt usage actually compared over the last several months. And so our utilities director provided some information to us this afternoon. If you go back to January of 2024, the city as a whole used about 18.8 million kilowatt hours of electricity. And our meters work the same as a residential meter. So we track the amount of current coming in, we track the amount of current that's actually consumed, and then that kind of gives us these numbers. In January 2025, that number went up about 700,000 to 19.57 million kilowatt hours. The bigger number, though, is February of 2024. We used about 13.5 million kilowatt hours of electricity in West Plains. In February of this year, we used 2.5 million kilowatt hours more, just in a 1 month period of time. So, so when people have called in and asked about their utility bills, we have charts that are available that show usage per household, per meter. We overlay that data with temperatures, so the average temperature for the day, the average high temperature for the day, the average low temperature for the day. And every account that I looked at, we looked at the accounts of all of the speakers who came up tonight and those who didn't show up tonight. But everybody who's called in and requests that information, we can get that to you. And there's a direct correlation between what the temperature was and what the usage was. If we remember, if you have kids, there was a spell there in February and January where schools were closed because the ice literally could not melt on the streets and on the county roads. So we all had to deal with our kids at home. But, you know, that being said, there was a spell there where we had some pretty cold weather in January and February. When we look at March's data, which bills I think are going to be going out this week, usage has dropped significantly. So one of our users had over 1,500 kilowatt hours, I think, for February. That's dropped to below 900 kilowatt hours for March. So what we've seen is there is a pretty strong tie between the weather and what the usage is. We've checked. We also have the opportunity, if anybody wants to reach out to our utility billing office, we're happy to check your meter for you. There is a small service charge fee for that, but we can also usually check those remotely. But we'll check the amount of current coming in. We'll check the amount of current going into your home. And if those numbers are close, then we know the meter is accurate. All those meters have to be calibrated to within a certain percentage per federal electric code. So the company that we use for our electric meters, we reached out to them. So did several of their customers who also use those meters, reached out and verified that, yeah, they're working accurately. We have the ability to test that. So one of the earlier speakers' comments about meters and how many of them are smart versus how many are still manually read. I think we have about 200 meters that are manually read on a monthly basis. Just about every other meter is read remotely, though. So we are working potentially also on the opportunity to give that data, charts, usage, everything. It measures it by hour to be able to give that to customers. You can certainly get it if you call in and ask right now, but you don't have the ability right now to go online and get that information for yourself. We're going to have a work session scheduled in June that we're going to sit down with council. Obviously, it's open to the public, so anybody can come and attend as well. We'll also have it streamed online. So if you don't want to come, you can watch from the comfort of your home. But I've asked staff to go through the entire process from how a bill gets generated. So what happens at the first day of a billing period to be able to go out and get that data. Again, most of it we're able to just collect remotely and we're able to get all that information in. But then we'll check for reasonableness and some of the other things. But we'll explain that whole process, and we do have some options for council that we will ask them to consider. Again, do they want to take on the cost of allowing everybody to have access to their own data for free of charge without having to call us? I think it's worth it, but at the same time, I'm not here to make those types of decisions. That's what council's here for. So I do also just kind of want to point out too. to directly answer some questions about the billing difference between December and January, I want to point out a couple of things. A, it was colder. We've got the data that shows that, and I think everybody can probably agree to that. But the billing period for the January, for December was 22 days. The following month, the billing period was 33 days. So you're talking about 11 more days of data that showed up on that first bill that you received in January. So those cycles happen on a billing. We'd like to stay within a month as close as we can, but holidays and some other things will come into factor. We had a storm back in December, I think, that knocked out a lot of power, and that power outage knocked out a lot of our remote collectors that we use to collect all of the meter data. So we had to shorten that cycle up in order to get the data that we had available to get it out, but we had to give time to get the system fixed and get it back online. And so there are a lot of factors that go into varying what the billing period is, but we try our best. And I would echo the comments here. We've got a great utility billing staff that is more than happy to answer questions that you have, and we'll be happy to sit down and take the time to explain those to you. But yeah, we obviously understand that it is a significant cost for us here in West Plains. We reached out to cities in city of Jackson, Missouri. We also know users here in Howell County who use Howell, Oregon. They all saw the same thing. For January and February bills were a lot higher than they have been on normal. So we do our best. If you ever have any questions or concerns about your utility bill in terms of usage, we can provide that information for you. We can check your meter. To do all those things, but we're happy to help, and we're here to serve you guys. So I don't think I got all of the questions, but I'll sit down and Shane will be happy to sit down and talk about whatever. So, but again, encourage people to call, send us an email, give us a phone call, stop on by City Hall, and we'll be able to get some information for you. Thank you, Mayor. All right.
Your call.
Sure, come on in.
My name is Stephanie Buczynski. I do not live in city limits. We have a business here in town. So I pay plenty of city taxes and plenty of city utilities. I have audited our bills at the shop from clear back to when we bought it in July 2019. And there are myriad discrepancies. I don't have it all quite together yet. I had no intent to speak tonight, but hearing some of what I've heard, can't really bite my tongue anymore. You're talking about double bills due to more usage because it's colder outside, which seems plausible on the surface. What about people who have propane heat? If you're not on electric heat, why would your heating bill be double? Why would your electricity bill be double? People's homes, people's businesses, we're looking at double, some residences triple on the bills. West Plains, you're saying, the entirety of the city government of West Plains uses on average however many million. And during the super cold months when our bills should have been higher, it was a couple million more. That's not double. Residences are double. And I thought, well, what if it's to does the fan blower on the HVAC in the shop office, does that have anything to do with it since we're strictly propane? But no, it can't, because we keep it on all the time just to circulate air within the office building. And the blower itself is not going to generate more electric use, whether it's blowing stale air or blowing forced air that's been heated by propane. So what's the response to suddenly this bill is double when literally nothing has changed for those of us who use propane or wood and don't even have electric heat? I'm also on Howell, Oregon at my house. Our house is entirely electric. Nothing is propane except our backup generator. We are not energy efficient people. My husband will use the air conditioner in the summer, wake up in the morning cold, and instead of putting on clothes, he turns on the heat. It's terrible. I know. But our Hal Oregon bills didn't do that. Do they show more usage? Yes, of course, for January, February, probably March, but certainly not double, not more than one would expect. And then also the billing periods. Let's talk about those. Last year, late fall, people got a bill for a 45-day billing period. No warning, no nothing. I'm on auto pay. I don't pay attention to my bills. I can afford them. What about the people that can't? The next billing cycle was a 15-day, 15, 20, something like that. You know, it was a small one. Great. But their electric's
2
shut off
minutes.
now because of the 45 billing day bill the period before. And those billing cycles, they're all over the place. Like, how hard is it to have March 1 through March 31, April 1 through April 2? That's not. And the only reason I can go back with absolute certainty and tell you how jacked up they are is because we are a business. I keep all my records, lest the IRS want them one day. So I can look at the original bills that I got. If I lost my 2024 bills for a while, I found them today. I lost them because I pulled them at one other point and forgot where I put them. So I printed all of 2024 from the website. Oddly enough, all of your billing cycle dates on the bills that are available online are your actual months, January 1 through 31, February 1 through 28. You look at my original bills, none of them are like that. So the dates have been fixed on the bills that are online. Why? And there's more, but my 5 minutes are up, so I'm done now.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for showing up on this. A lot to think about and a lot to work with. And we're not going to blow you off on this. So, Sam?
Yep. Again, I just reiterate, if you have questions or concerns about your bill, please reach out to us and let us know. Stephanie will be happy to sit down with you as well and go through yours and answer those types of questions. But again, I can't get into specific information without having that information in front of us. So please reach out and let us know, and we'll be happy to take a look at that information. And, you know, if we need to make adjustments, I won't sit here and say we're perfect. You know, we're humans, especially with 200 meters that we have to read per month. Yeah, mistakes do happen sometimes, and we apologize for that, but we're good at correcting those as soon as we can and getting those adjustments out. And if I could just add one more point, we don't have quote unquote budget billing just yet. But that is one of those options that we're going to be talking to council about. But that doesn't mean that you as a resident right now can't do something similar. So if you track your bills and you know your usage was X amount over the last 12 months, you can divide that number by 12, and then you can pay that amount each month, regardless of what your bill says, to be able to help with some of those high-low cycles. We did see some short billing cycles followed by some very long ones late last fall. Again, those were a combination of issues with regard to software, to personnel available at the time. But again, we try to do the best to get that monthly billing cycle out as true to the month as we can, or as close to 30 days, 31 days as we possibly can. So again, I can't foresee the future and tell you what's not going to happen or what will happen, but we do try our best. And again, appreciate everybody coming tonight, and we'll be happy to sit down and talk with you about your specific issue when you have it. Thank you.
No further business. May God bless, and we are adjourned.
Second.